Hi, welcome back. Today, we're going to continue expanding our perception of commercial real estate operations. Think back to the last time you walked into a commercial property, or visit one today. What you'll likely to remember or see is a small glimpse of what it takes to keep that property operating. You might see someone at the front desk, maybe a security officer, someone working on the building, or perhaps the property manager. But what you probably won't see is the much larger group of people working behind the scenes. And that's something that I believe is very fascinating about commercial real estate. Because when you start looking at everything it takes to operate even a single property, you'll quickly realize there are a lot of people involved. In our last video, we explored some of what happens behind the scenes to keep commercial properties operating. Today, let's take a quick look at the people who actually make all of that happen. Let's start with the owner. Now, when I say owner, that can mean a lot of different things. It could be one person or a family that owns a small commercial property. It could be a partnership or a private investment group. Or it could be a large institutional owner with properties all over the country. But here's where it starts to get interesting. Owning a commercial property doesn't necessarily mean you're the person running it every day. In fact, very often, you're not. Depending upon the property, there may be an asset manager thinking about the larger picture. How's the property performing? What should we invest? What are we trying to accomplish with this asset over the next several years? Then you may have a property manager much closer to what's happening every day. They're dealing with tenants, coordinating vendors, working through problems, managing expenses, keeping ownership informed, and ultimately making sure 100 different things don't fall through the cracks. But even the property manager isn't doing this alone. Think about a typical office building for a moment. The air conditioning has to work, the elevators have to run, the building needs to be cleaned, security may need to be staffed, fire and life safety may need to be maintained, repairs have to be made, tenants may be moving in or moving out. And yet somewhere along the way, somebody may be renovating a space, negotiating a lease, reviewing an invoice, preparing a budget, or figuring out why something suddenly isn't working the way it's supposed to. And as you'll likely see, the number of people involved starts to grow pretty quickly. You may have building engineers and maintenance technicians keeping the physical property running, security and janitorial teams helping maintain the environment people interact with, brokers working on leasing, contractors renovating or repairing spaces, attorneys and accountants helping manage the legal and financial side of the property. And depending upon what's taking place at the property, you may also have architects, engineers, and all kinds of specialized vendors involved. And, of course, we can't forget the tenants, because they're a huge part of this ecosystem too. And here's the part I really want you to understand. None of these responsibilities exist completely on their own. Let's say a new tenant leases a space. That sounds like a leasing decision. But think about what can happen next. The space may need to be renovated. If so, that involves construction and coordination of construction-related activities. The tenant may have unusual electrical or HVAC requirements. Now, building systems are involved. With these major improvements, the work now has to be permitted and inspected. And cost? Who's paying for these improvements? Now, we're talking about budgets and capital. The tenant has to move in. Well, operations need to coordinate that. And all of this has to happen while the rest of the property continues operating. Suddenly, that one lease touches 5 or 6 different parts of the organization right out of the gate. That's commercial real estate. Things connect. A decision in one area can create consequences somewhere else. And the larger or more complicated the property becomes, the more important those connections become. A small commercial building might only need a handful of people to keep everything running. But think about a large office tower, or a regional shopping center, perhaps a hospital campus or a large industrial property. Envision a mixed-use development with offices, restaurants, retail, parking, and maybe even residential, all operating in the same vertical environment. The number of people involved can grow very quickly. But whether the team is 5 people or 50, the basic idea doesn't really change. Commercial real estate works because people make it work. People make decisions, they solve problems, they coordinate with one another, they manage risk. And ultimately, all of that work shapes the experience of the people who use these properties every day. Employees, customers, patients, guests, visitors. And ironically, most of them may only know a small fraction of what's happening behind the scenes. And in many ways, that's the point. And with that, that brings us to an important question. If all of these people and responsibilities are connected, what holds it all together? Well, a big part of that answer is operations. And throughout this channel, we'll continue exploring how all of these pieces come together to make commercial real estate work. I'm Dr. Roger Wortman. Thanks for watching CREXOM. If you'd like to keep exploring commercial real estate, take a look at the video YouTube is recommending for you next. I'll see you there. Thank you.